Okay, next court up on the HAMMERFALL Grifball court contest from Forge Hub and Grifball Hub is Karman Line by Nikko JT, or Nikko B201 is his gamer tag. And this appears to be set in the drop bay of a UNSC warship. And it says right in the description, try not to get vertical. It'll throw you off your game, and he's probably right. So we'll get into that in a second. So these are the running starts. No man cannons involved, and he may have to. Yes, you definitely have to. You see this little bump in the running starts? I'm going to do a select all on the running starts. It's not. Oh, right, they're locked. That's why. Okay, there we go. The running starts. I'll go to their settings here. Running starts, object properties. Sorry, these are the running starts on the initial spawn points. The running start is enabled. The distance is 40 is okay, but the transition ratio is 50. That means 50% of the way from where they start running to where they end running, they get control of the character at 50%, which means they have control of the character while they're still in the launch room, and they can run backwards at that point and not finish the animation. They can boost backwards. So what you want to do is increase your transition ratio so it's outside of the launch room. And I usually have it around between 90 and 95, sometimes 96%. 90% is fine here. So you see that way it's outside of the launch room. Okay, that's the first note. You've used the one-way blockers just fine. That's great. So where do I start? Lots wrong with this court, but nothing that can't be repaired. You've got let's just start with the ceiling, I guess. All kinds of little perches and little areas like this that the ball can get stuck up on, and players might be able to get up into here or launch their buddies up into here while they're holding the ball. You see you've got these areas up in here, and players will get up there. It's simple as that. There's no arguing it. Players will get up here. Okay, if there's a way to get up there, they will find a way, and they've gotten up to much higher places in Grifball before. Okay, so totally seal your ceiling in. Just throw some invisible blockers right across the top of that so nothing is sticking through. Maybe just the bottoms of these is fine. This dome shaped thing sticking through is fine, but everything else. And that way you can also save a lot of pieces. You don't need all these little invisible blockers. Just take each one of those out, and you only need 9 invisible blockers for the entire court, okay, or for the entire ceiling. And that way you've got maybe 30 of them up in here. You can just get rid of them all and just block the whole ceiling off. Okay, maybe you don't want to block these off. That's fine, but definitely make it so that it comes down like across there, straight across there, and up to here. Okay, because it's just going to be problems. You're going to miss something, and you're going to find a spot like this where it's not blocked off and the ball can get caught up in there, and then they have to wait 20 seconds for it to reset. And sometimes people find these, if they want, let's say they're up by 1 goal and time's about to run out, they can just toss the ball up and get it stuck. And players will go through and find areas like this where the ball will get stuck, and they'll toss the ball up there, get it stuck there, so no one can score for the next 20 seconds. So as I say, just block it off. Simple as that. Just take your 9 blocks, put them together, block off the ceiling. That also, you might also want to raise it up just a little bit so there's a little bit more headroom. Like if you raise these drop pods up, that way your invisible ceiling can be higher. Okay, so that's a suggestion. The suggestion to make the ceiling all one piece or several pieces, but in blocking off the whole ceiling, that you absolutely have to do that. Whether or not you want to raise the ceiling up to give the players a little bit more room to play with, that's entirely up to you. Okay, so that's it for the ceiling. Let's look at your walls. There's a bit of a moire, or a bit of a pattern that develops when, because, let me see if I can see if that shows up in the video. It's just these lines. There we go. There's the middle one right above my reticle. See that's really distracting for the eye, and it's just because you've got a really high contrast thing of this light and the dark background. Maybe put a few more of those lights out like that. That might help to do that. Put a few more of those lights out, or make the area of impact for the lights a little bit larger. You see, it's not too bad. It's just when these super bright ones come out that they're really distracting on the eyes. It's not too bad. You know what? I'm kind of 50-50 on that. If there was a lot more of them, it would be a problem. But you've only got maybe a couple of them in view. Here, now look on the right side. See where the blinking light is on the upper right corner? There, you see what I'm trying to say? You see those lights? Those are really distracting when you're playing, because they kind of pull your eye away from the gameplay. And it's just because of the high contrast between the red part and the purple part of these, where the lights shine here and not here. So I don't know how you would fix that. I'll leave that up to you. Maybe don't use such high reflective surfaces on these pieces. That might help. Because it almost looks like you've got different surfaces. You see how this has got that reflection going and this is much softer looking? So whatever you're doing, make it consistent and try to make it so that you don't... Oh, I think I know why. I'm going to have to move these... I'm just going to move these out of the way just so I can see. I'm going to grab this one and grab this one, and the properties should be the same. Turn off lock. Oh, they are the same. That is so odd. I don't understand why this one's reflecting like so, and this one isn't. Maybe it's the distance of the light or something like that. But try to make it so it's a little more consistent. I'm not sure that block went. That's not it. That's not it. You've got these two small blocks for this room. You can just use the one large one and have it go up near the ceiling, rather than using two small ones, because they might shift out of position just slightly. Okay, so yeah, that happens over this side as well. It just kind of bothers me that we got this weird psychedelic light showing up in the air. When you come here, it just goes away. There, you see what I mean? So I don't know how you would fix that, but try to fix that, because that's really distracting. That thing right there, that just draws your eye away from the gameplay and pulls your eyes over to it, because it's such a bright and outstanding bit of lighting that it kind of takes away from gameplay. Oh, I see you've gone and done something interesting. You put the bomb plant on the wall. That's not new. We've seen that before in other courts. That's completely up to the builder if they want to do that. I don't have a problem with that. What I do have a problem with are your spawns. Okay, no one is going to want to spawn this far away from the goal when they're defending a runner coming in. Nobody. They're going to get so PO'd when they spawn over here. They're over here. They die. The runner's coming in. He's got a tank with him. You got two defenders. He's like this far away. You want to spawn right here so that you can just go over and bash him and finish him off. You do not want to spawn, where is it again? Way over here, and have no chance whatsoever to defending when there's a run coming in and you're about to respawn. Sometimes the time between respawn and killing the runner is like 1/10 of a second. You spawn, swing the hammer, and he's dead, and you saved him from scoring. You cannot do that from over here. So I'm going to not recommend, I'm going to absolutely demand that you go and get the 4v4 in my prefabs, bookmark the Grifball 4v4 respawns and drop those actual respawns into this court. And the way you do that is you mark your center spot, and put the spawns in. Delete all of yours, drop the spawns in, and then of course delete the goals that I put on the floor, and just leave yours up there on the wall. So just make sure that you're using the correct standard, the standard spawning. But make sure you haven't duplicated your goals in that. I just want to grab this. I just want to see where the position of this is. And that's at a kind of an odd. Yeah, I like to keep a nice, like, if I were to place this myself, I would have put it at 207.0 by I would even put it at 0.0 rather than at 1.7. Always think when you start building your court, the very first thing you place is this, okay? And put your center on it, because all your measurements are going to be based around this. If you put the center of your court at an odd number like that, it really makes it difficult to measure for the rest of your court. Now there could be a reason to do that, because you don't want to have your court built in where the light map boxes are. Read about that on Forge Hub. You want to avoid that, and that's typically at 0, like 0, minus 100 or something like that. So you don't want to be building in that actual location. But it's okay to build there, but I like to pick a nice even number, because then when you place your walls, you'll know that they're in exactly the right location. The other thing you can do is, and I don't like this because it's, there you go, now it's okay. Ball spawns, ball pickups should always be set to phased. Always set them to phased, okay? Because when you move your floor, even if they're set to fixed, you can knock them and nudge them while you're forging. If they're set to phased, nothing can move them. And I would also set these so that they are embedded at least that much, this much to this much in the floor. Okay, so they should be slightly embedded in the actual floor, and it just prevents players from jumping over them. Okay, let's see, so that's spawns, that's containment. You don't have clamber ledges, but you do have a ledge that you can jump off all the way around the court. That's fine. That's and that it may seem high in Forge right here, but it's actually really low for Grifball. In Grifball, players can jump about so high, about the height of this light here. Okay, like you will be able to jump on that in a Grifball game, or something close to it. Maybe just a little bit lower than that is the height you can jump at in Grifball, especially if you're a runner, because you have higher jump height and lower gravity as a jumper. So that's okay to do that. I'd actually even recommend putting them up a little bit more, a little bit higher. And that's going to bring me to my next point. Your court, how do I word this? People are going to throw up. I don't have a problem playing on clear glass bottom or clear bottom courts. I've done it before, and I played Jetpack. It doesn't bother me at all. But a lot of players, as soon as they see a court come up with a glass floor, they'll quit the build and then rejoin and wait and hope for a different map, because some players cannot play on courts with invisible floors. They just can't do it. It just messes them up, and they get vertigo, or it ruins the immersion for them, or whatever the case is. They just cannot play. And I know some. I know that Goose Cheka from Grifball Hub has told me that before. If there's an invisible court floor, she just quits. We'll be playing, and then she just drops out. She just quits. She goes, I won't even spawn on them. She just quits. I'm pretty sure it was her. Yeah, well, it was her. Yeah, she just will not play them, and I don't blame her. A lot of people don't. So this is your choice if you want to have a glass floor. But I just have to warn you that there's 3 Grifball players as judges and 3 Forge Hub admins as judges, and the 3, I'm not going to say what's going to happen, but you can be pretty sure that the 3 Grifball judges are not going to like a floor where there's no floor. Okay, so that's a risk you're going to have to take. There, you know, some people may love it, others are going to absolutely hate it. They won't even participate in the test. Okay, I'm not sure that that's going to happen, but I'm just warning you that could happen. So just be prepared for that. If you want to, you know, keep this design as it is, that's entirely up to you. But just don't be disappointed if it gets shut down because it has an invisible floor. Okay. But as I said, maybe they'll love it. I mean, because it totally suits the surroundings. It totally suits the story of the map. You have these giant doors under here that have been obviously slid out of the way. But if you can figure out some way to denote the floor, like Blue versus Red 2003, that court used to use glass, and they changed it to a grid. And they gave the grid a little bit of contrast, so at least you could see the grid. So I don't think that would suit this map, but you might want to think of some way to do it with lighting, or with you can take hill mark. As I said, this is just a suggestion, and I'm just going to just find something invisible, like a joint piece. Let's go a barrel, and I'm just going to put a quick little hill on it. I'm going to change the color. I don't know what color to pick. I'll pick the color afterwards. We're going to throw a little bit of a hill on it. The cylinder, turn the visibility on, make it like a 0.25 radius, and make the top, let's say 15, and we'll make the bottom 15. Okay, and find something that you can actually see. So that's not a good color. So we'll find a color it's a lighter color, as you can see, not the darker colors. Let's go back to the blues. Oh, that's the reds. Okay, very subtle. And I'm just going to stick with magnets. Okay. Oh, wait a second, object. I'm just going to place a few of these to give you an idea. There we go. So they're just beams of light, but they give the player a little bit of orientation, and so that's just one idea. You could also get the energy. Oh yes, the other things you can use. Sorry, go under effects, and you go for the beams, and you go for a long and narrow one. Let's say a blue. Let's say it's 4x32. 4x32 full blue. There you go. That sort of thing. See, and they're beams of light, and you can make a pattern to those on the floor. Maybe have some kind of emitter on one side that shows where they go, and then just have them continue up the full length of the floor. Or actually in this case it might be better to do it widthwise. I don't know. I'll leave that up to you. That's just something you can do to mark to players where the floor is. I don't know if this is how you want to do it, but I'll completely leave that up to you whether you want to do it or leave it. Also. Oh, never mind. Sorry. I'm looking at your spawns saying their spawns are the wrong way, but some are the right way, some are the wrong way. Okay. We're going to fix the spawns anyway, so ignore my jabberings about your spawns. We already went over that. So I think that's all there is to look at. You've got to get these things fixed before this can continue on. As I say, it's entirely up to you whether you want to do the floor or to put some kind of hill markers. Oh, right, sorry. Let me, while I'm at it, the other thing you can do is you don't have to use the cylinder shapes. You can also use the box, set your width to 0. Now let's just try going full length. There we go. It gives it sort of a light bridge look. And as I say, that's one single piece that does that. Maybe you'd need 6 of them. And you could do your whole floor like that to have it look like, yes, you're out in the air, out in space, but there is a light bridge that's keeping you from falling to your death. And this is not unprecedented. You see this in other areas like in Reach, when you invade the Covenant Corvette, they've got kind of a roof like this that you go through that treats it like an airlock that you can pass through. But same idea. All you're doing, you aren't taking away from the look of the map, but you're giving players a piece that they can orient themselves with. So in the case of this one, you would just make it a repeating. Just make it a repeating pattern, like so. And as I say, you'd only need maybe 5 or 6 of these. But that way it lets them know exactly where the floor is. Even though it's still perfectly clear, you're not confusing the players as to where the floor is. It's perfectly marked out where it is. Actually, in this case, I think I would butt them up to each other. Make them a bit wider. Make them about 20. And then butt them up to each other so they touch each other. Like that. Okay? There you go. See? No one will not understand that that's the floor now. It's still perfectly clear. It still looks good on your map. What I would do is do what you did with the lights there. Or use the emitters from Breakout, your choice, up to you, to make it look like they make sense, because you would have an emitter on there, so that this is treated like a light bridge now. See, and that will go a long way to helping players orient themselves on the floor, without, you know, some players might still get nauseous, but with others, all you have to do is tell them where the floor is, and then they understand. So, you know, I don't normally give people this many ideas on design, but as I say, this isn't anything I wouldn't tell you if you had asked me, you know, how can I make it so my floor doesn't make people throw up, and these are the suggestions I give you. So, so as I say, oh, there's another example of that light causing a problem. So try to fix that as well, soften those up a bit, and then once you get all these changes made, make a note in the submission, not in the thread, but the actual submission post where you submitted this. Just go in, edit it, add at the bottom, add a change log with the date and say what changes you made, and then we'll have another look at it. Okay, thank you for that, and have any questions, just let me know at the Forge Hub contest thread. Thank you.